if we want to have some control over what happens at the end of our lives, then we need to start planning now for that. I'm remembering when my husband died about 11 years ago, that not only did I have to deal with the grief of his passing, but I also remember how I was so overwhelmed with the search for all the legal and financial documents that were necessary for me to close out his estate. And I made a promise to myself at that time that as soon as I completed this, I was going to create my own will, I was going to buy long-term care insurance, and I would have a health directive so that my children would have some directions at the end of my life and not have to put up with the same struggles that I did. And I did that. Within 3 months after closing out my husband's estate, I had completed those 3 things to put my life in order. And I told my children about this. I told them how to access that information. And of course, I review that on an ongoing basis, at least once a year, to make sure that it's up to date. Not many of us are able to plan right up to the very end. And it's a stressful time, it's a sad time, it's a hard time for family members. And so I think it's really important for us to help them to get through it. And I think that it gives me peace of mind to know that they won't have to struggle as much with my passing. But more than that, as I age, I want to have more control over my future too. I want to be able to plan for where I live and how I live and what the circumstances will be around my older years. My parents weren't well prepared for the end of life. Again, this reminds me, it's so instructive to me about wanting to be prepared and to have those plans in order so that people knew what I wanted. We tried to keep my parents in their homes as long as possible. That's what they preferred. There are 6 of us siblings, and so there are a lot of us, and we've all returned to our home community as we've retired from our jobs. And so there are a lot of us to help take care of my parents. They're not in the best of health right now, and my mother is in assisted living, and my father has been moved to a nursing home. I think that they thought that they would be protected by Medicare throughout their life, and had no idea that Medicare did not cover much of the care that they needed as they were aging. Medicare does not cover the nursing home. It only covers the part when they immediately come out of a hospital and need some rehabilitation. And my father did make use of that a few times. But as he has now moved permanently into a nursing home, that is not covered, and that is very costly for families. Or if families deplete their savings and they receive a waiver from the state, it becomes very costly for the state. And so we do need to find ways in which to alleviate that cost at the end of the life for all of our citizens. People are living longer, and so they need to start planning for the future. I think the important things first are that you need to talk with your family so that they're clear about what the things are you want at the end of life. You need to decide with your family and for yourself about where you want to live. Do you want to stay in your home? Do you want, what type of a living arrangement do you want? And then you also need to plan for your long-term care at the end of life. We do have a website that is possible for people to go to. It's the Own Your Future website that has a lot of information on it. And as they navigate that website, they can start to plan for their future. They can look at what are the different things that they need to look out for and plan for as they age.